So we now look at an excited utterance. And you're going to notice a lot of overlap between excited utterances and present sense impressions. Both have a certain contemporaneous quality to them, though the major difference is that it, that the excited utterance does not have to be precisely contemporaneous with the event that it's describing. So if you're walking down the street, you're talking to someone on the cell phone, and you say, "Oh, there's Bob." Well, there's no excitement required for the admission of a present sense impression as an exception to hearsay. But if Bob stabbed you and you walk you walk 5 blocks down the road, your heart's still pumping, you still have a knife in you, and you say Bob stabbed me, then you're still under the excitement, the horror of having been stabbed a block ago, and so even though the event has passed, it still has an effect on you, and therefore it can still come in as an excited utterance. So in the case of State versus Sutphin, what we're asking about is whether something that was heard was an excited utterance, still under the excitement or the fear of the condition that provoked excitement. So in State versus Sutphin, the defendant's girlfriend goes to talk to her boyfriend, with whom she's having trouble, and the dad is sitting there watching this encounter from his car, and he watches the two of them. He watches her body language become incredibly tense. He sees that she appears to have a great deal of anxiety. She comes back from the conversation with the boyfriend, gets in the dad's car. She's crying, and she says that her boyfriend threatened to kill her if she ever left him again. And the question is whether the dad's statement is now admissible, because in fact he does kill her. And so the way we try to get this in is we claim that the boyfriend, now defendant's statement, caused her, his threat that was then relayed to the dad, that his statement, the boyfriend's statement, the defendant's statement, is a party admission because it's something that he said. It could also have been a verbal act, but we offer it as a party admission. It was something said by the now defendant to his fiancee / victim, that was then said to the dad. So we have 2 layers of potential hearsay. And so the first layer, from the defendant / boyfriend to the victim / girlfriend, that's party admission or verbal act. And it now comes from the victim / girlfriend to her father. And the question then becomes, for that level of hearsay, that second level of hearsay, is that an excited utterance? Is she still under the excitement of the circumstances that produced her fear? And the statement has to relate to those circumstances. Well, this is actually a fairly easy case, because the court says, what were the circumstances that produced this fear? It was the fact that she was threatened by her boyfriend. And so naturally, when she describes that threat, that is a description of the startling event. It was not perfectly contemporaneous with it occurring. She's walked back to the car. So it's very close in time. And that was the argument that the defendant made in this case as to why this did not qualify as an excited utterance, because of the time gap between the startling event, namely the threat, and the relation of the threat to her father. So the court says, when we look at how long that time can be, there's a 5-factor test that we analyze. That we look at the length of time between the event and the relating of the statement, the age of the speaker, the age of the declarant, the physical and mental state of the declarant, the characteristic of the event, and the subject matter of the statement. Now, none of those factors, and they are factors, they're not an elements test in any sense of the word, none of those things will predict an outcome for you. So you have to kind of look at how a court would use this in sort of exercising its judgment, not in applying clearly applicable or clearly predictive tests. But in this particular case, the length of time was extraordinarily short, and her life having been threatened, this was quite the startling event, and we could easily imagine that in that length of time she would still be laboring under the anxiety from the event, and then when she gets in the car, she still appears frightened, and she relates the story. So in this case, you have all three of those factors met, that this is in fact, there was in fact a startling event, namely the threat. And then the second factor, the declarant must have responded while in the excitement of the moment, that she must have made the statement to her father relating to the startling event while still being startled. She was. And we look at the multi-factor test to evaluate how long that time can pass before we say it's no longer part of the event. And the statement has to relate to the event. If she comes back from her boyfriend and after he's threatened her life and says she's worried that she's going to have cancer or have a heart attack, those statements, though frightening and scary, wouldn't relate to what caused her to be startled. So those wouldn't qualify. So there has to be the startling event. The statement has to be about that event, and it has to be contemporaneous enough with the event that we believe that the declarant was still under the influence of the startling